We are back after a week hiatus.
Our first one ever, I think.
It is. We decided together that with everything going on in the world, that it didn't feel right to just go on as business as normal.
Yeah, I think with the Black Lives Matter movement, it's really important that all of us give our platforms to Black voices during the movement. But I think it's also important that we continue to do everything we can to help with this movement even as life goes on as normal. So we can't stop the podcast forever, but we can keep advocating for change, and I think that's what's important now, is to make a sustainable movement.
So the whole point of this is hopefully that things build and more people add their voices to demanding change so that actual real change happens.
Right. I agree with you there. So with that said, we do encourage you guys to donate if you're able to. Reach out to your politicians for changes that are desperately needed, like banning chokeholds and getting rid of assault weapons for police officers.
Well, most state and federal representatives have an office that you can mail a postcard to. It costs a stamp, email, call them.
Right.
Like, there's things you can do for little or no money.
Right.
To demand a change.
Right. So, that said, we do want this podcast to still be a place you can come to laugh and to disagree with us, because that's what you guys are all good at. And just have fun, listening to two friends talking. So I think...
Well, we're married. We're not really friends.
Friends of theirs.
Okay.
Not...
All right.
Nice. So basically you're saying our listeners aren't our friends.
Well, some of them are.
Okay. You and Krista, I get it. Besties. Got it. Anyways, so that said, we will be in the future talking more about this, I'm sure, because it is important and it's something that needs to be kept on our mind. But we do want to continue the podcast. We did promise you guys that we were doing the movie The Other Woman. We didn't skip it just because we had to skip the week. We watched the movie a week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my choice for this week.
Yes, your choice.
So I'm Shay.
I'm Tyler.
And this is Cinematically Correct. And we're doing The Other Woman. From your feedback on Twitter, no one's seen this movie, apparently.
And the people that have seen it hated it.
Yeah, basically. So this does not surprise us. We generally
it's
pick
in our
movies.
wheelhouse.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of our thing.
Yeah. So I'm kind of glad that we're doing a light movie this week, just given everything that's going on. And also, we do a lot of heavy movies. We need to, chill a little. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the next one is going to be a little bit heavy.
Thank you. It seems to be Tyler choices are heavy.
Well, yeah.
Anyways, so before we really get into the movie, do you want to tell them what your beer is?
So, this week is Red Flag. It's a barrel-aged sour ale.
What's the beer company?
Heavy Seas beer.
Okay.
So not really related. It's Red Flag because there were so many red flags with that guy.
Yeah. He was basically a walking red flag.
And sour because their relationship soured.
And also because Tyler likes sour beers and he's tired of having beers he doesn't like.
That too. 100% that. That was
actually very satisfying.
I like that one. It's actually really good.
Yeah?
It's not too sour. It's got a...
Are we in the 4 range?
I'm going to give it a 4. I'll give it a 4.25 even.
Woo!
Yeah.
If you guys listen to this podcast at all, you know that is a rare event.
Well, it's got that right balance of not too overly sour, but it's still got a little bit of tang to it.
Good.
So it's not bitter.
Look at that. So this movie brought about a good beer.
That's true.
See? So there's that. Okay, so do you want to give a brief synopsis of the movie?
Brief synopsis.
Brief synopsis. The movie centers around 3 women that meet through one scummy person that is married to one and dating the other 2. Having illicit affairs, and the 3 women become friends, and they plot their revenge.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Basically it.
Okay, so this movie, I mean, the central characters, I would think, would be Cameron Diaz and Leslie Mann.
Yeah.
So Cameron Diaz plays Carly Whitten. She is a lawyer. I think we meet her first, and she is the other woman, essentially. I guess she's probably the title character.
She's the first other woman.
Yeah. She's the first other woman. And she basically is dating this guy and goes to do a strippergram and finds out he's married.
Yep.
Basically. Some of that. I love her. First of all, I mean, I love anybody who plays lawyers. It's the whole, like, idea that I wish I was a lawyer in my other life kind of thing. So, and I also love Cameron Diaz. I mean, she was in The Holiday, which was one of my all-time favorite movies. So she has a soft place in my heart.
Yeah. I mean, that's entirely fair. And Cameron Diaz is Cameron Diaz. If you don't know who she is, then wake up.
Do you like Cameron Diaz? Because it seems to be conflicting opinions on the internet there.
She's fine. I mean, I don't have a problem with Cameron Diaz, but do I think that she's the most talented actress? No.
So who is the most talented actress?
I don't know. There's quite a few very talented actresses. Meryl Streep.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on, that's the easy layup answer.
Yeah, that's solid. Okay. Okay, so Leslie Mann, I think she might be my favorite in this movie, and I need to see more Leslie Mann movies because she is wonderfully delightful. She's adorable.
She's very typecast because this is the same role that she does in every single movie.
I'm okay with that because I love this role.
No, she does it fantastically well. Like she was made to do this part.
Basically.
But
so she plays like this dorky, adorable wife. Now online people are calling her the nagging wife. I really don't see that much.
There's a little bit of that. There is a good amount. The whole talking about the pork chops and...
I feel like that's caring.
That's how she sees it, of course. And
if she was nagging, though, do you think he would have been able to get away with what he did?
I mean, if she was more on top of things, no.
But, yeah. But also, like, I feel like a nagging wife tends to be also a hovering wife.
Well, that's where the helicopter mom comes from.
Well,
when you have kids,
well, right, but she wasn't that
No.
because she clearly missed a lot of signs.
She missed so many signs, and he was just, as part of his job, I guess, was free to never be home, and that was somehow okay.
Yeah, and she was also down for signing paperwork with her name on it that she couldn't read or understand.
That just, nope.
I'd be like, no, we don't get to say, oh, you don't have to, I read it for you. No. That's not how
Hopefully
this
at
works.
some point you would get to a point of trust with me. That
After this movie, I don't think so.
I generally don't sign things without reading them either.
No.
But, I mean, that's with few exceptions, like the stupid terms and conditions. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, the husband is played by, you looked up how to say that.
It's Nikolai Coster-Waldau.
Yeah, so he's Mark King. He's the husband. And, I mean, he just plays, a horrible, despicable husband. Like, there is no redeeming qualities to him. He cheats. He lies. He then goes back to his wife for sex when the other women are withholding sex.
Or have chlamydia.
Right. He steals from his company, and he puts it all in his wife's name, so if anything were to go down, she'd be the one to go to jail.
Yeah. So he commits fraud.
Yeah, so there's nothing redeeming about him. Like, they don't give him a redeeming quality. I don't even find him attractive. I don't know if, like, he's, like, considered, like, attractive, but...
Well, so his most well-known character part is Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones. And,
okay.
At the start of that, because it's over quite a few years, he looked kind of like Prince Charming from Shrek with the blonde hair and...
Okay. I mean, I might like that better. I mean...
So...
Long hair?
Yeah.
I'm in.
He's got the two just below his ears.
Why haven't you had me watch Game of Thrones again? Because this is sounding delightful. Anyway,
Before we move on...
Oh.
He is my Lord of the Rings reference.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
We couldn't get away. We couldn't get one
Game of Thrones
podcast.
has Sean Bean, who is Boromir in Lord of the Rings. Also, he's in Kingdom of Heaven with Orlando Bloom. Legolas, Lord of the Rings. So it's a double connection.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. I thought we could get through one podcast, but...
Well, I'm happy to stop as soon as you stop the Gilmore.
I mean, I haven't done one, so maybe I don't have one. It's possible.
Here's hoping, because I'll stop as soon as you don't have one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
100%.
Oh, so maybe this will be the one.
Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, Kate Upton plays Amber. I looked to see if she plays other roles. First of all, there is a viral video on the internet called, what was it, Cat Daddy? And the dancing that's done in this film is mimicking that viral video. Now, you're a man, so I have to assume you've seen this because she's in a bikini. So I watched it. I was very confused as to why this went viral. I'm only assuming that it's because she has very large boobs and they're in a bikini.
Yeah, I think
her dancing skills are not...
No, I think that 100% sums it up. The entire appeal of Kate Upton.
Just because she's attractive?
Yeah, I think so. I mean...
She was a model, right?
Yeah, she's been on Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition and other things. Like, that's what she's known for.
She's very pretty. So she's not in a lot of movies. This is, like, her only, like, real movie, what it seems like. But basically she plays kind of a dumb young girl. I mean, essentially is all she plays. She's the third other woman, and she's just not very bright, but she's very pretty. So the guy who chose the younger woman for her body.
She's got massive tracts of land, to steal a reference from Monty Python Holy Grail.
Joy. I'm glad that got on the recording. I'm really, really glad about that. Anyways, the last person I wanted to talk about, and we'll see if you want to talk about anybody else, is Taylor Kinney. Now, I can't not talk about him because, first of all, ladies, if you haven't seen this film, he's a reason to watch it.
Well, he's in something else that I have either seen or seen the trailer for.
Well, let me talk about him first. So he plays the brother to Leslie Mann's character.
Yep.
And he basically is kind of like helping them, but not helping them. And he ends up falling in love with Cameron Diaz's character.
Right.
He's beautiful. He's wonderful. I now want to watch Chicago Fire because he's in it. I don't know what else he's been in other than that. I looked through some of the movies that I saw on his IMDb. Nothing looks very...
Well, I think I've seen him on the trailer for Chicago Fire or seen it on TV at one point.
That may be.
So.
But he's also my Gilmore Girls reference. And
of course.
I will say, I made sure he was my Gilmore Girls reference. I went through everything on his IMDb only to find out that it was Chicago Fire that was going to do it. But I went through every single movie because he was going to be it. So... Anyway,
Chicago Fire.
He was on Chicago Fire with Sophia Bush, who was on One Tree Hill with Chad Michael Murray, who plays Tristan in Gilmore Girls.
That's a reach of like 6 different steps.
Not. You had steps by steps on multiple.
Yeah, and you called me out for it.
Well, you know what? I
got a ration of crap for.
I spent 45 minutes reading his IMDb, and when I saw Sophia Bush, I was like, she was Tristan's girlfriend. So, down. Anyway, so. That's that.
Okay.
Sorry. I had to do it. And it had to be him because he's so beautiful and we had to make sure we talked about him just because of how beautiful he is.
You done now?
I think I'm done. I think I've gotten it out of my system. So, anyway. We should probably at least explain why we picked this movie, yeah?
I think that's fair. So, I had seen part of this as we were in Virginia.
Yeah.
And we had to go out and do other things at the time.
Yeah, and also it was in the middle. It was like on TV.
Yeah.
So it was like in the middle of it, but you had said it looked cute and you wanted to see the rest of it.
Well, I got 5 minutes of it. I was like, okay, I mean, I guess it's worth watching.
Right.
And then you can't not finish something like that. Just
you're a completist. We get it.
It's horrible. Like
you don't want it to be said that you wanted to watch a chick flick. I get it. I understand.
Well, it's just you
that
cannot.
Ego. I know.
It's not even that. It's just you have to always finish everything.
Except for that you don't. But that is not a conversation for the podcast. Anyway, so I have kind of like a history with this movie. My family anyways. My mom, me, and my sister would watch this movie multiple times. And every single time we watched the movie, my brother ended up in the hospital.
Yeah.
And we can all joke about this now because he's fine. Nothing happened. He does have a heart condition. And he did for a long time and probably still does have situations where he's going to end up needing some kind of medical treatment. It's terrifying and scary when it happens, and, you know, it is a serious thing, but we all joke about it now because it was literally every time we watched this movie. Most of the time, we never even got through the full movie. Right. To the point now where nobody's allowed to watch that movie in that house because it's terrifying. So,
well, you might have just broken the curse because we haven't had any terrifying updates from your family. So.
Well, and I asked him. We did see him a few days ago, and I asked him, and he said, it's funny because I was thinking about you that night, and I was actually going to text you. So, the Spidey senses still worked, but yeah, nothing happened, so maybe we broke the curse. But it's just a movie. I think that part of the reason that I do enjoy this movie is because there's just, like, personal connection to it.
And it could possibly kill your brother?
Well, That is horrible. No, it's just, it's something we all laugh about and joke about. It's an inside joke we all hold now, and anytime anyone mentions that movie, everyone's like, oh, has anyone checked on him?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of adorable. But anyways, I'm glad that you got to experience it with me.
Yeah.
You know, anyway.
I'm glad your brother didn't die. Like, that's...
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad too. I'm glad that happened. But, okay, so we can get into some of the movie. I will say this movie is a fluff movie. It is something that you watch when you want to have a smile, when you want to laugh.
Slightly more substance than the other Missy, but just barely.
Yeah, I mean...
I mean, there's not a whole lot to this movie. It's also very similar to John Tucker Must Die.
Right. Now, if you're a female listening to the podcast, this is one of those movies you're going to want to watch on girls' night, or when you just have like a night alone and you want to just eat a bunch of snacks and have wine like many of us women do. This is that type of movie. That's what you're going to want to watch. And it's also a good movie right now when you just don't want anything heavy because the world is too heavy.
Yeah.
This is a good movie for that. But I will say there isn't a lot of substance, so don't expect us to be deep diving into like, I don't know, psychoanalysis or anything like that. It's just not there. So
No, there's nothing. There's nothing.
No. So
He's a pig. Every character is one-dimensional, basically. And that's all there is.
right. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was this movie was almost a rated R movie. It is PG-13, but it was almost rated R. They actually had to petition to get it to not be rated R. And the reason that I found was that the word vagina was used. So I wanted to ask you what your opinion as a male on that is.
I mean, I've seen PG-13 movies with considerably worse words and language in there.
Yeah.
There's a long-standing tradition where you're allowed one fuck in the movie and still be PG-13, which is worse than vagina. Like, objectively, that's a worse word.
I agree. So I did look up what the differentiation, something like that, is, and it seems like a really loose thing. So it says, profanity may be present in PG-rated films and use one of the harsher sexually derived words as an expletive will initially incur at least a PG-13 rating. Multiple occurrences will usually incur an R rating, as will the uses of such an expletive in a sexual context. So it's still it's very loose. It's like, you know, kind of if, maybe, will, but what is a sexually derived term? Because the word that we're talking about is vagina. That I have one. I'm not being sexual. I have one. So is that a sexually derived term? I'm confused.
Well, yes, because
it's my sexual anatomy?
I guess it's really a bad...
Is penis a sexually derived word?
Technically.
Dick.
Yep.
But is it in movies? Because I feel like I've heard those words plenty.
Well, yeah. I mean, dick is one of those weird ones where you're being a dick.
But
yeah.
They don't mean you're being a Richard.
No.
So...
It's one of those weird... I don't have a problem with that. I mean, honestly, I have a bigger problem with gratuitous violence and nudity in movies.
Yeah, me too.
Which they should market as R for the blood splattering across the screen. And it's like, guys, enough is enough.
Right.
Like,
so I think this one comes down to Hollywood still being uncomfortable with female anatomy, is what it comes down to, really. Because, I mean, we should be able to say vagina and it should be fine.
Well, there's also the Kindergarten Cop with Arnold Schwarzenegger where the little kid says, boys have penises, girls have vaginas, and it's a PG-13. Like, of course it is, because it's a child. Like, what is...
And it's also...
Context matters.
It's a fact.
Context matters. Like,
it's not saying you're being a vagina or something, or I don't know.
It's not saying something horrifyingly crude about that either. It's not like...
Yeah, let's not
go into explicit, but
examples,
yeah,
you know.
But it's overreach just for no reason,
right.
Really.
Yeah, okay. So, I feel like we have to talk about this because on every podcast, I generally bring up the Bechdel test, or at least I try to on most of them. I do miss it sometimes. However, this movie, on first glance, will have passed the Bechdel test because it's women talking to women, and so you see that throughout the film. However, if you look further into the Bechdel test, you realize that women need to be talking to women about other things other than a man to have passed. So
it does not pass.
By the strictest definition, it technically does not pass. At least I cannot think of a time that they on screen talked about something other than a man. So...
Well, the only scene that could possibly... There's no dialogue. It's the drunk in the closet trying on clothes, braiding each other's hair scene. And they likely did have a conversation and tied it into their relationship with the scummy husband.
Right.
But they probably also had other conversations about clothes or this is cute or blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
But there's no dialogue.
Reddit exploded about this. They were really upset, basically saying that these are strong female characters and you've made them one-dimensional and you had this opportunity to make a really girl power movie and you turned it into just like fluff. So I guess I wanted to talk to you about that because I'm somebody that's such a proponent of, better female representation in films and all of that. However, this movie didn't bother me. I felt like its purpose was not to be a rah-rah woman movie. It was to be a fun, happy, revenge movie. We all have had those petty revenge dreams, fantasies, all of that, and that was playing out on screen, and you know what? I'm okay with it.
I wrote down, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Right.
Like, in the context of this movie, them talking about the scumbag husband makes all of the sense in the world because that's the central point of this movie.
Right, and I think it would have been weird if they included extraneous scenes where they were talking about other things because it doesn't further the plot. So it'd be like, okay, so Cameron Diaz is a lawyer and she's working with somebody on a divorce. Why do I care? Get back to the whole plot. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily think it would be important. And I really don't know that I felt that they were one-dimensional characters. They were stereotypes, sure, but...
Well, there wasn't a whole lot of depth, but there wasn't really supposed to be a whole lot of depth. It's not that kind of movie. It's not a Meryl Streep movie. It's not a...
Right.
You're drawn in for the acting and the drama. You're drawn into this movie to watch a guy get what is coming to him. Exactly.
Now, did you have a problem with any of the things that they did to him? Because there's one in particular that the internet is quite upset about.
The estrogen?
Yes.
Well, they've done that in other movies. It's a Hollywood trope at this point.
Well, right. But so people were saying that as soon as they saw that on, I guess it was like on a preview or something, that they didn't watch it because it was despicable that they would ever promote that kind of, heinous act.
Well, a movie that I can think of right off the top of my head is The Longest Yard, the Adam Sandler version, where they give it to the prison guards in replace of steroids because they're playing them in football and they want him to not be on steroids. Like...
Right. I mean, it's a funny thing. I mean, should you do that? Probably not. It's probably not.
No, you should not
safe.
illegally, secretly dose people with medication that they're not supposed to be prescribed.
It's just not safe. You don't know how the person's going to react.
That's a crime. That is a crime.
But it's a movie. And we know it's a movie, and we're laughing because it's a movie. Also, I wouldn't recommend doing half of the things that they did just because... As much as I enjoy watching a revenge thing, I don't necessarily think it's the best way to go about, a real relationship. Maybe just leave.
I mean, yeah, they definitely should have taken him for everything that he owns.
Oh,
and then,
yeah.
And at the end of the movie, him just randomly running into walls because he's having a mental breakdown was kind of just odd. But they didn't do a whole lot other than get back at him and get her out of going to prison.
Right. I mean, it's, to me... Yes, you shouldn't, enact a whole plan to seek revenge, but...
They gave him estrogen and didn't have sex with him. How terrible.
I know, they withheld sex. Woo! Although Leslie Mann was struggling. She was struggling. I did want to ask you, since you're in the finance world, the crime that he committed, exactly what did he do? Like, how was he able to do that without her knowledge? Because, my understanding of, bank accounts and things like that is you would have to actually speak in some way to get a bank account set up, but it seems like just paperwork is good enough.
That's going to tie into my history minute,
then we'll get into
it there. So it's related to offshore banking and the secrecy and privacy of that entails.
Okay, so that's to come, apparently. My bad, I just kind of wanted to know. So, the other thing I had on here was about Leslie Mann. So people were really complaining about her because she was the nagging wife and blah, 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 and all of that. So... She reminds me of myself, so now I think I might be the nagging wife because...
I plead the fifth.
Although you asked me to nag you more, so what does that mean? I'm not really sure.
On certain things.
You're like, just tell me more, make me do it. So, I don't know. But I thought she was adorable. And I want to... First of all, have you seen her in other movies? Because they said 2 Paul Rudd movies that she's in that she plays the same character. And I don't know...
I have seen her in other movies.
Was she in Ant-Man? Because I thought she was in Ant-Man.
I don't think so.
No?
Maybe? I
don't know. I've only seen, like, one of the Ant-Mans. I think there might be multiple. And I swear I thought she was in it. But, we're IMDbing it so that the internet cannot crucify us. So...
This is 40. The Other Woman, Knocked Up.
Ooh, Knocked Up is a good one.
George of the Jungle.
So I wonder what she's in that's Paul Rudd.
Well, I think Paul Rudd is in This Is 40.
Oh, I have not seen This Is 40. Okay, so she was not in Ant-Man. I don't know why that is in my brain that she was, but regardless, she was not.
40-Year-Old Virgin is the other big popular movie. Judd Apatow.
I have not seen 40-Year-Old Virgin either. Anyway.
Basically every Judd Apatow movie ever.
Anyway, so I guess if you had to picture the perfect wife, because this is the nagging wife, what would be different about her?
I really didn't have a problem with her other than, like, she had that really uncomfortable peeing in the bathroom with her.
Oh my god, yeah.
No, it's so creepy. That crosses a line.
Yeah,
that will never happen so long as I am alive.
No, I will never go to the only exception would be we do have one bathroom, and there, like, if there was a moment of, like, dire need and you were, like, in the shower or something, I'd be like, just don't open the curtain kind of situation. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing I could see, maybe. You know what I mean? Like,
but it's to me, that's just not a...
No,
that's
there's
not
like a line that you need to keep. Like, I just feel like to keep the relationship
you got to
alive,
keep the magic alive.
A little bit.
Some of the mystery of things
like,
that don't...
We know that we do all the things, but, like, I don't need to see it.
Yeah.
You know? And if you ever, like, pooped or something, you know?
Oh, God. Thank you for that on the podcast.
Hey, people do some weird stuff. That, you know?
We were watching Boy Meets World and using the razor and then using the toothbrush.
The razor doesn't bother me. Like, you know, use my razor, whatever. I don't
shave anymore. So it's kind of...
Well, the razor thing doesn't bother me. Toothbrush, though, which Topanga brought up.
Oh.
No. That is just no. That's just...
Toothbrush, deodorant, I'm all set.
Yeah, no, you cannot use my deodorant.
I'm all set with that.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Well, right. There's certain things you don't do because that's just...
And there are other things that just don't matter.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, you can use my hairbrush, like, you know, whatever.
It's a brush.
Exactly. So, anyway. But, yeah, I mean, that's really all I have for this movie. And that makes me kind of feel bad because it's a really good movie. I really enjoy it as, like, a feel-good, happy movie, but...
There's not a lot there.
To say.
There's not much there.
Yeah. So next week, I think we'll probably have more to say. I've never seen the movie, but I think we'll have more to talk about. Do you?
I think so. I think it's slightly more topical to current events.
Okay.
Even though it's a older classic movie.
And we'll be able to deep dive into some stuff? Hopefully?
I think so. I mean,
good.
I would imagine probably.
Yeah. So if you guys are bored by this, we're sorry. Every once in a while, we need to take a little bit of a brain break. And go to brain camp. Sorry, had to do it. Part of the movie. But so do you have a history minute?
Tyler's History Minute.
I do have a few. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is that beautiful Great Dane in the movie.
Oh my goodness, you could not help yourself.
Well, so my family has a personal relationship with Great Danes. We've had several in the family. So Great Danes were originally bred for hunting. So they're very big dogs, and they were bred for chasing down and attacking bears, boar, and deer, like big animals. Mm-hmm. And then that's also why their ears are cropped and pointed with the straight up. Mm-hmm. So they don't get damaged in the scuffle, get bit, slashed by the tusks or antlers, etc. to keep them out of the way.
Gotcha.
They were also very good at guard dogs because they're so big. That kind of.
You really like Great Danes?
I really do like Great Danes.
Sad.
The next thing I want to talk about is offshore banking.
Oh, okay, good. I was waiting for this.
So offshore banking started in the early 1800s which is not offshore, but Switzerland, and their agreement to be neutral in all things forever, basically.
Yeah. I'm Switzerland.
Yeah. So that started in 1815, and during that time there was a lot of political unrest in Europe at large. I mean, there was Napoleon there. I mean, that's just seismic changes are happening.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the rich people, the nobles and the people that had all the land and money, needed somewhere to stash their money in case there was a revolution.
Okay.
So they looked for places to secret and hide things in case they needed it in an emergency.
Okay.
Where offshore comes in is a lot of the very tiny islands off the coast of France, St. Martin's, etc. Because they're offshore, you can't rob them.
Gotcha.
Because they're hard to get access to.
Right.
And so you could put money there and it was safe and anonymous. So that's where offshore comes from.
Gotcha.
And that continues to this day in the Cayman Islands, in the Caribbean especially. It has very strict banking protections. So the U.S. government has basically no say over what happens in those islands for banking anonymously. And then also it's related to kind of tax loopholes and all of that. The United States has an example of that, which is Delaware. So Delaware in 1889 passed regulation for business incorporation, which is why an overwhelming majority of companies are Delaware companies and incorporated in Delaware, even if they don't have an office in Delaware.
Yeah. An old company I worked for was incorporated in Delaware.
A company I worked for was a Delaware company, but the name of the company was a different state.
Yeah, ours was Massachusetts.
Yeah, it's one of those weird quirks of their system and the free transfer between states where there's no different countries. I'm going. Last one. Martha Stewart is mentioned in this movie in Handling Prison Like a Boss.
Yeah, and she did.
She did. She was actually complimented by, I think it was Snoop Dogg or somebody else.
They're friends, so
Yeah.
It makes sense to be Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. Saying she took it on the chin and she did her time. She stood tall. And so what she went to prison for was insider trading. Mm-hmm. So she sold the stock before public information or non-public information had been released to prevent losing $45,000.
Not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
Probably should just not hold the stock that you have insider information on, just to avoid that altogether.
Well, so that's the weird area. So as a stockbroker myself, they actually build that into the system. So I am more heavily regulated than a normal person.
Obviously.
So I can't have investment accounts with another firm than the firm that I work for because they have to monitor everything.
Right.
And then if the company I'm working for is doing research, etc., on a company, I'm not allowed to touch it.
Which makes sense.
Just because they don't even want it to have it accidentally happen, where I don't have the information, but
you did something and it can look bad from the outside.
It looks bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I got for the History Minutes.
Hey, I mean, I'm proud of you for finding something at all.
I had to reach for this one a little bit.
Yeah, you did. But next week we'll do better?
I think so, hopefully.
Okay, so hopefully next week. Audience asks...
Audience asks.
You guys kind of let us down. I expected you to let us down, but you did. So there's only one. And to be completely honest, I'm not 100% sure I understand it. So I'm going to read it. It is from Nerd Lantern of Sector 2814.
Okay.
Would you like a deep dive into the subject like this? Not so much as a film series about this, but the topic, handled both comedically and dramatically, or something along the lines of a dark How I Met Your Mother.
A dark... Okay, so it's a longer look at this friendship, I guess, and how they became friends and their relationship afterwards. I don't...
You mean the friendship between Cameron Diaz and Leslie Mann?
Yes, correct. Where King, whatever the hell his name is.
Now, why would it be darker?
Well, because they're plotting their revenge on a man.
Well, not trying to kill him.
Well, they could.
I guess,
in a darker version.
In a darker version, I guess it could be a murder plot.
Well, I mean, anything's on the table. Hell hath no fury.
I mean, wasn't Cameron Diaz in Charlie's Angels? I mean, so she's already got the moves.
She's got a certain set of skills that make her a nightmare for people like that.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I'm mixing different movies.
I can see you doing that, but I'm liking it. But, I mean, so I loved How I Met Your Mother, first of all. I mean, not the ending.
The ending was a travesty.
Let's not get me started.
It was a damn train.
I mean, I'm always down for that kind of thing, like to see like the character development of this type of thing, but I don't know that these characters... Leslie Mann, I do think would stand on her own, but I don't know what I would feel about...
Well, how much more hijinks could they get into that is worth a deeper dive other than...
Well, unless it's more about their friendship rather than about him.
But how is that going to be interesting enough to keep people's attention?
I mean, Leslie Mann is hilarious. So
Fair.
I could watch her for days.
Fair.
So, I mean, now Kate Upton's character, I don't know that she would need to be
so
in anything.
Tiresome. Other than to look at, there was nothing there.
I love hearing that. It really makes my heart warm. So
you talked about the beautiful brother for like 20 minutes at the opening of this podcast.
Thank you for reminding me. Anyway, so that's all that was asked of us.
She also dated Cameron Diaz's father. That
was weird. That was wrong.
That's a good way to lose friends. Yeah. And just
so basically, if it was to continue on, that would be the first thing: is getting rid of her.
Yeah,
booting her out. Maybe the hijinks would be about how do we get rid of my father's new girlfriend.
My new mother, because they got married, and she refuses to call her mom.
How I Met My New Mother.
Oh God.
Okay, so there's that. So next week, guys, please do audience ask for us, because I want to do at least one extra since I was one short this time around. Yeah. So if you guys can give us at least 3, I would
hope so. This is a widely regarded movie.
Yeah, we've really hyped this up, so I hope that people like this movie, because I don't know what it is. I know what it is, but I've never seen it. So anyway, do you want to go into the reviews? Because this is rough.
Reviews.
All right. So Rotten Tomatoes, the critic score is 25. Wah, wah. The audience score is 57. So slightly higher, but it's still
I mean, it makes sense. A lot of women are going to like this film, where guys aren't really going to see the appeal.
But, I mean, the critic score also is fair, because there's no great cinematography, there's no great score, there's no great acting. Like there's no...
Leslie Mann is a great actress.
She killed it in this. There's no thing that grabs you.
Yeah, I mean, really. It's not the type of movie that's meant. It's not meant for it. But did it have a higher score than The Wrong Missy? Do you remember?
I would have to hope so, for the love of God.
Yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head, but all I'm gonna say that is, if it didn't, they are wrong, because there is just no way that this film is not better than The Wrong Missy in both the audience side and the critic side. I'm sorry, but I disagree.
And the verdict is The Wrong Missy is higher on the film critic score.
What?
And then lower on the audience score.
Wait, how is it higher on the film critic score?
35 and 52.
I do not understand.
I'm just reading what it says on Rotten Tomatoes, darling.
Okay, so guys, if you have seen both, please tweet at us and let us know which one you think is better, because there's no way.
There's no contest that the Wrong Missy is possibly the worst movie that has ever been made. It's in the conversation.
The Big Trouble?
It's close. I mean, Big Trouble is still ahead, but it's close. Like there are some top 5 worst movies of all time.
And the girl in The Wrong Missy was just not a likable character at all.
God.
The characters in this movie, I mean, if you didn't like Leslie Mann, you did like Cameron Diaz. There's nothing, you can't not like her. Like, I mean, she was loyal, she was nice, she was professional, successful, pretty, like, what do you want?
There was so many better characters than that whole train wreck of a movie.
I think what we need to do is we need to get some critics, and we need to have them spam the ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. So how, do we have any contacts? Can we?
I don't know.
Have your people call my people?
Well, you're the social media person for the podcast. So.
I know one critic. One. I don't think that's going to work.
Getting back to the ratings, I'm going to give it a 5. Like, it's not great. I mean,
My
it's not good.
heart.
It's middle of the road in all things, including score. Like, there's no...
But it makes me happy. And doesn't that add to the value?
6.
My heart. Okay, so I was gonna give it an 8. There's nothing great about it. Like, there's no great acting or anything, but it does its job. It makes me happy, and I've watched it probably 15 times, which is not common for me with a movie. So it obviously has.
Well, you're obviously secretly trying to kill your brother. Like, that's clear.
Or I'm just. I don't know. But anyways, it has something that draws me back in. So if that's the case, then I usually give it a higher review because I feel like it's drawing me back. So anyway, I am hurt and appalled, and I don't know if I'll ever make you watch any of my dear to me movies because you're ruining them one movie at a time. But okay. So the next movie is a movie that you've watched. I have not.
Yes. So this next week we are going to do 12 Angry Men, which is an old classic. It's black and white.
Now, was there a reason you picked this?
Well, you've never seen it, and it's fantastic.
Oh, okay, so it's fantastic. So there's just that.
I mean, you might be bored out of your mind, given that it's in a courtroom.
I love court movies, but rude.
We'll see.
Great. So I am very nervous about this.
Well, I think that you love movies that you don't love, and you're hard to read sometimes.
An anomaly?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
An anomaly wrapped in an enigma.
Adorable.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyways, guys, if you want to reach out to us outside the podcast, I am on Twitter at cinematicallyc. Tyler is on Twitter, blame TylerCC. Always tag me if you want to reach him because that's your only way. You can find us on pretty much any other social media platform you want if you type in at cinematicallyc, but Twitter's your best bet. I mean, that's really all I gotta say. So thank you to Jake at Athos Music for our intro and outro music, and we'll be back next week with 12 Angry Men.
Thank you all for listening.